day and night. We should have a day off to celebrate our. It's a real church holiday in Australia, Melbourne Cup. Oh, okay, you have one day off. And it was a day without days. Oh, marvellous. We had one chap, I can't quickly think of his name, but he was a great big rotund bloke. He knew every racehorse that ever had a name. He knew every Melbourne Cup winner, the name of the jockey, or cup, everything. So he was made in charge of it. And so on the day itself, they built him a big bamboo cage and put him in there, and that was his radio. And he had to call the Melbourne Cup out of that. But some of the powder was done up, and Fox made out of rice bags and had them done up, and looked as if they had lipstick on and all this. And so they had bookies going around laying bets on the races, and all the race horses are named after the Melbourne Cup winner. I've got them in my book down there. Far Lap and Rainbow. I've got a whole list of them down there, all the horses that were in it. And they were there, and then they had other little events going on, and they were done by local boys on little horses running bamboo, and they run around it. So when the Melbourne Cup was on, he started off in the Melbourne Cup, and they were coming round, and everybody knew Far Lap was going to win, didn't they? Far Lap was now coming down the side, and he's clipped the heels in front of him, he's gone over, he's down. And because he knew what horse won because he had his money on it. It was a marvellous day.
Well, now I know there's a tendency to always go back and tell about the light things and the pleasurable things, but what was the worst experience you had on the Burma end of the line?
I suppose the worst experience of the day that I collapsed going out to work, and I woke up in the bunk in the hut. My first attack of malaria. I didn't know what had happened to me. I'd been to see Colonel Eadie, and I thought I was coming down. Everybody else was going down with malaria, and I hadn't had it. He said, "Oh, you're right, Bancroft, back to work. You go to work." He said, "How do you know you got malaria?" I said, "I think." No. You're all right for work. So I got out to fill out and got a shovel over there, and I don't know what happened to me. I woke up in the camp with rice bags all over me, sweating, and apparently I just collapsed. That's how well he thought he was. I'd walked from him to a parade ground about 100 yards and collapsed. And it was malaria, the first attack of malaria.
Yes.
I wasn't aware that I was sick until I woke up.
Did you have any quinine up there?
Yeah, they had some quinine.
And what sort was it? Was it a good quality quinine?
You're
able to judge?
I wouldn't know.
No.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
That was first. I had several attacks after that, but that was the main. Well, the first attack. Yeah.
Did you ever know of Colonel Coates being up there?
Yeah, I remember his name well, but this guy. That's about all I can do to remember his name. Was Colonel Coates. He's very well known.
Now, what about Padre Matheson? Was he with you? Wasn't he your chaplain?
He was our chaplain.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he with you? Was he?
Oh,
your care?
He is with us.
Was he a strength? Was he good value?
Marvellous man. Marvellous man. He didn't have much weight on him. You wonder how he existed himself. He was a great man. He used to officiate at most of the funerals. Didn't matter who they were, whether Army, Navy, Air Force.
But there was another chaplain up there by the name of Bashford as well. Did you ever hear of him?
No, that didn't ring a bell, no.
Okay. Now the line's finished. When did you go down to Thailand?
Well, it would have been in early 44. January, I think it was.
And how'd you go down?
We went on the back of the trucks on the railway line,
Yeah.
and hung on as best we could. And when we saw where they built railway lines over these roaring rivers down below, we said, we hope they did a good job of these bridges.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the bridges we built were nothing like that. We
They
didn't have
weren't.
the same sort of rivers as
They weren't as big, were they?
No.
No.
But,
What sort of a train was it? Was it a steam engine or a diesel engine? Or
no, steam.
Steam.
Yeah.
Is there anything significant about it being a steam engine?
No. Of course, we from the time we started bringing the engines through on the line, we were having to cut the wood to go in it. They used wood to fire them,
Yeah.
and so often we'd have to supply them with fuel for the engines.
Yeah. I've discovered the oldest Australian prisoner of war who was on the line. He was on your end of the line, and he was 60 years of age. He'd been born in 1882.
Well, we had one with us. Now we can never get his correct age, but he was oh dear me, I know his name as well as I know my own name. Had electrical business in Perth. But he was in the Battle of Jutland. He was in the Navy, Royal Navy, and he was in the Battle of Jutland. And
Okay.
he admitted being over 50
Yeah.
and working on the railway line.
Yeah.
And he used to be the example to all the young blokes.
Yeah.
Come on, you young fellas, you
Yeah.
gotta get into it.
So he's one of your crew.
Oh, he was a marvellous man.
Yeah. So we'll have to try and remember his
He's
name.
Arthur Kesey. Keyswetter.
Keys.
His real name was,
Yeah.
German name was Keyswetter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's Arthur Kesey.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Arthur Kesey. Yeah, marvellous.
And
bloke.
his Perth boy.
Yeah. I saw his wife when I came home. I got home early, you know, and told her, and she was so thrilled that I went and saw her. And he got home. He lasted a few years after the war and then died.
Yeah.
But he was a fine fella.
Yeah.
Arthur Keyswetter. We'd never heard his Keyswetter until his name was Kesey, but he had to get his correct name. He was a German national.
Yes. Now you must have some idea of how many days it took you to move from Burma down to Tamarkan. I think you said you
Yeah. It only took 24 hours, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't take long.
ran straight through.
Yeah, went straight through. Yeah.
And you got off at Tamarkan.
Tamarkan, yes.
And
Oh,
what sort of accommodation did you have there?
Oh, marvellous. It was top hole because we had the huts were already established. We had the same type of accommodation, you know, bamboo slats, sort of like.
Yes.
But they had a much better cookhouse facilities, and you know, we used to often do work in the cookhouse, work in the places, wherever they wanted to do anything, we do to help with the labour, you know.
Did you bathe in the river?
Oh yes. We were taken down East Bay for bathe in the river.
Did you ever do the water run up to the anti-aircraft
No.
batteries?
No.
There were some, weren't
Oh
there?
yes. They used to blast away when the planes used to come over. They didn't start bombing us until after we'd left there. But they come over doing reco runs, and you'd hear the anti-aircraft going, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And, at least keeping them away from us.
Yes. Yeah. So, how long were you in Tamarkan?
Oh, about 3 or 4 months, I don't know.
You didn't go to any of the other nearby camps like Camp Chanaburi or?
It was not long after we got there that they started sorting out the Jap party.
Yes.
And they had to fall in and get tested for anything, and we got extra needles, and some were trying to get out of it, and I said, it can't be any worse than here. So Japan, there's got to be Japan, we'll go there.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't worry me, you know.
No.
Some did worry them.
Yeah.
But,
Do you, like when you said you went into Tamarkan Camp, so you actually went over the big concrete and steel bridge.
oh,
Do
yes.
you remember actually crossing that?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you would have seen it many times.
Yeah, well, so it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, well, that was fully established, you know, the old wooden bridge is still there, but,
Yes.
yeah. No, it was the best river we'd seen since we left
Yeah.
Burma, you know,
Yeah.
and there were all the boats going up and down, and then the food in the camp was so much better than what we'd been having, and their cookhouses were better conducted. They used to get us to do jobs for them, and matter of fact, I got to know quite a few of the ones who were involved in the galleys, you know, cookhouses. As I'll tell you more about them later on, because I got tangled up with them on the sinking of the Rakuyo Maru. That's another story.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it was a marvellous camp. We had facilities there that we didn't have anywhere else in the jungle. You know?
Yeah.
And they took some of our blokes back up the jungle for maintenance work.
Yeah.
And luckily I'd already been selected to go to Japan anyway. So.
And where were you? Were you selected from Tamarkan to go
Yeah.
to Japan? And you had the glass rod, the glass rod.
Oh yeah.
Was that the first time you'd had that, or?
Yeah, I think it was the first time I had that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we had Padre Matheson and saw that, and he ended up in the queue to get out. Hey, we should go cut it out, Padre. Yeah, he won all do. He thought it was a queue for something else, so he's going up there to us.
Well, Matheson, of course, didn't go to Japan because he was still in Thailand at the end of the war.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of time for him.
Yeah. So
That's the thing, he should not have been there at all. He was, when we got into
Batavia?
Batavia, we had on board something like 4 people who were supposed to go into the Hobart, HMAS Hobart.
Yes.
And the Hobart was in harbour at the same time as us. We'd been alongside and refuelled and came alongside the wharf, and they put Matheson and the other 3 blokes all in one of our ships to take them over to the Hobart. They got about halfway over there, and the air raid came to them, so they came back again. And the Hobart, they never got to the Hobart, did they? So they stayed on the Perth. So he ended up being on the Perth, whether he liked it or not.
Yes. So you did mention that you were taken through to Saigon. Can you briefly tell us how you got to Saigon?
Oh, well, we got cattle into these trucks, you know, the rice trucks. They were squeezy, yes. We went right through to Tamarkan, did I say that? No.
You left Tamarkan.
Left Tamarkan, right through to...
You would have gone down to Phnom Penh.
Phnom Penh.
Yeah, through Bangkok and over to Phnom Penh.
And we had, that was a marvellous place to look at, all the gold recovered, the pagodas and things like that. And coming from the railway station to where we were going to camp for a couple of days, we were being waved to by white girls. And we said, where in the dickens are we? We were waving back and giving us victory song. They had free French, of course. They were Indochina those days.
Yes.
And the Japanese, they were the French part of the Allies. But we said, this is great, being white girls waving to us after being in the jungle for all that time, seeing no white girls, no white man. That was an interesting little sidelight of our place, coming out of into civilisation was virtually.
Now, when you got into Saigon, how long were you in Saigon?
About 3 months, and we were working on the wharves there, and our camp was right on just divided from the harbour by road, and we used to go work on the wharves a lot, and other sort of work parties, and they made one effort to get us downloaded onto one of the ships so we can go out there to go to Japan, but they unload us again because they couldn't get it out. Apparently the place had been closed off by submarines, and it was pretty dangerous for them to get shipping out, so they brought us back. And interesting little sideline there, one of the work parties we went to was the Japanese headquarters, and two of us were given the job of cleaning out the underneath the tap, the block drain. Anyway, the Japanese private or corporate or something came along and said, no. So we went and sat down, didn't we? While he was having his wash underneath there, and along came a Japanese sergeant. And he said, "You men," we said, "Charlie, your man says no," we said no. Oh, they went bang, bang, bang. He knocked this bloke down about 6 times, and he said, "Oh, okay, you men clear." Okay, we'll do it now. That's how they treated their own men. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we did work. We worked out on the airstrip for quite a few trips. We'd go through Saigon on trucks and through the airport, and we met up with a lot of local Anamites, or whatever they call them then. Anamites. That was a local, like Vietnam. They were very good. They did do deals with us, and whatever I could pinch from somewhere, I sold to them. I guess you always had to do a deal, you know.
Were there any French? There must have been French in Saigon as well.
Oh yes, yeah, French.
Did you have any contact with them?
Oh, now and again out in work parties you might see a French.
Any gestures from them?
Oh yes, yeah. And they would supply stuff into the camp to help the prisoners, you know, food and stuff like that. No, they were very kind to us.
So from there they realised they weren't going to get you out, and they moved you down to Singapore.
Yeah, well, they started bombing
Saigon.
One bomb landed just on the outskirts of our camp, but up till before the bombing started, we had Recco planes going over, and we tried to convince the Japs that we had to build slip trenches. No slip trenches. After the first air raid, boy, they came out and helped us dig the slip trenches, you know, because they realised that the thing was dinkum.
Yeah.
So we actually only hit alongside our camp was by one stick of bombs, but nobody got hurt. I think a couple got scratches or two out of it, but nobody got seriously hurt out of the bombing raid. It was after the bombing raid that they bombed the harbour itself, that they decided to get us out there and back to Singapore.
Yes. Were you in a march to the railway station? Did you no? Well, there's somewhere that I read that there was a march to the railway station and someone started whistling the Marseillaise.
Yeah, this rings a bell somewhere.
And apparently it produced a reaction from the French.